right, so here is the culture we are going to deconstruct today. Eminem, who also appears to be basically Mike Pence. He's sort of turned into Mike Pence. When he takes off that hat, he's got the white hair and their hair, they look identical. Eminem, in an attempt to seek relevance, has decided to alienate half of his audience by suggesting that President Trump is evil, and he did a freestyle rap to this effect at the Black Entertainment Television. I've heard that this man is akin to Beethoven. This is only Beethoven after he had suffered from lead poisoning, presumably. Even then, Beethoven was still writing good stuff, deaf and poisoned by lead. I'm pretty sure that's not equivalent. He's a genius because he can come up with a bunch of near rhymes for the word pot. Congratulations, this is just genius stuff. I also like that cultural appropriation is fine so long as you're a leftist who hates Trump, right? So he's culturally appropriating a lot of obvious, black rap culture here, clearly. I mean, this has been Eminem's shtick for a very long time. And then he can use phrases like this. Now I got a hatchet like a damn Apache would a tomahawk. Totally fine, right? No cultural appropriation there, nothing insulting there. Right, that's not insulting in any way, but that's just because he is just a genius leftist who hates President Trump. Apparently, he attended an NBA game in Detroit, and he was cheered. Kid Rock, however, was booed. Kid Rock, by the way, says he's no longer going to run for Senate. So just like General Sherman, if nominated, he will not run. If elected, he will not serve. Kid Rock has now stated the same, except he screamed really loud and said "bada wada badika" at the same time. Okay, other things. Final deconstructing the culture point. Mark Wahlberg has now come out and repented for doing the movie Boogie Nights. Now, I've never actually seen this film. I've heard that it's a very good movie. Mathis, you've seen the movie? No. I've heard that it's good, but it is obviously a glorification of the pornography industry, is the idea of it anyway. And he said he asked God to forgive him for some of his past movie roles, especially Boogie Nights. He was speaking with Cardinal Blaise Kupich Blaise Kupich in Chicago this past weekend, and he said, I hope God is a movie fan and also forgiving because I've made some poor choices in my past. And he said that Boogie Nights is up there at the top of the list. Good for him. I mean, good for him. I believe in the capacity for redemption and forgiveness. That's one of the things religion is all about. And it's good to see some people in Hollywood who have the capacity to look back at things that they've done and say, perhaps that was a bad idea. Okay, now, I have a surprise. I think Bill Clinton grabbed a woman's butt and shouted, David Copperfield. Everyone on the right would go nuts and say, right, because this is Bill Clinton. So there are people who say, right, because Bill Clinton has a record of this, HW doesn't. That's true. But that's why I suggest that maybe we ought to hold off until there's more information on exactly what HW's mental state is. But people who are making light of this, I don't think that it's something that ought to be completely made light of or dismissed out of hand. People are saying that Heather Lynn should be ashamed for even saying anything about it. I just don't. Again, I'm really more torn on this than I think a lot of other people are on the right. Okay, and maybe that's an unpopular point of view, but frankly, I don't really care. I think it's inappropriate for guys to grab girls behind and shout Copperfield, whether they're 23 or 93, if they are in control of their actions. And just because you've done some good things in your life doesn't mean everything becomes good. This is one of my chief complaints about how people gauge human beings. I'll say he's a good man. And then by saying he's a good man, they mean everything that he does forever we have to see as good. Good people do bad things. Good people do stupid things. Right? Overall, the judgment can be that a person's good and the person can still do some dumb things, or still do some bad things. In any case, this is case in point of sexual harassment number one from today's news. Case in point number two is one that the left will immediately say is not sexual harassment in any way, and that's because the person at issue is Ellen DeGeneres, and Ellen DeGeneres is a famous and well-beloved Hollywood lesbian. So the reason that is relevant, her sexuality, is because Ellen DeGeneres tweeted this out yesterday. This is a tweet of her on Katy Perry's birthday, and it's a picture of Ellen DeGeneres staring directly into Katy Perry's cleavage from about 6 inches away as her partner Portia de Rossi laughs next to her. I think it's Portia de Rossi, correct? I'm pretty sure. And Katy Perry is kind of smiling into the camera slightly awkwardly. And it says, "Happy birthday, Katy Perry. It's time to bring out the big balloons," right? A direct reference to her breasts. Now, let me just suggest, if any man tweeted out this exact photo, if Ellen's head were Harvey Weinstein's head, we would be talking about how this was more evidence of sexual harassment in Hollywood. Ellen DeGeneres is a very, very powerful host. And the fact that Katy Perry seems to be smiling here is not the issue, right? I mean, there are plenty of pictures where Harvey Weinstein is posing with smiling women who he sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. The fact is that there's a double standard with how we treat these situations, and as I've been now saying for weeks, we need some sort of singular standard as to what constitutes appropriate behavior and what does not. Ellen DeGeneres is a lesbian, which means that this is, her acting upon objects of her sexual desire. If a man did the same thing, we would be saying, this is totally inappropriate, how dare he? And it doesn't matter that Katy Perry's smiling, it just shows how